Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Mario coming to you with a very special episode of Random Select that I'm calling ISIS Must Die. And I'm saying this in direct response to the things that have just transpired in Paris. These people have no regard, no respect for other people's lives. They have no respect for other people's ways of living and thinking and being and worshiping. And the reason they can get away with things like this is because they know that we have policies that we must follow. And when I say we, I mean other countries. Other countries have things like rules of engagement. They have UN and NATO and humanitarian efforts that laws and stuff that they have to follow. And these people do not have these type of laws. They are lawless. So we are trying to fight someone that is operating up under the rules and the policies that we have set forth, in which you can never defeat anyone or make any type of real progress as long as they're coloring outside the lines and you are bound by coloring inside the lines. Which is why I was glad and inspired by France's president who said we will be pitiless when it comes to tracking these people down, which is finally someone comes out and say that they will have no mercy when it comes to these people, which is time for it is really time for this to have taken place. And I hate to be this way, but it's time to start doing them how they do you. They can operate like this because they know at the very least they have what we call due process. They have to have their day in court. They have to have a trial. So therefore they can spread this crazy doctrine and other people can take up on it because they know for pretty much at the very least, uh, all they're gonna be is incarcerated and then have to have a trial. And then I don't understand at the when all this is going on, why don't we ever follow the money trail? Now, if this was organized crime, this was gangs, or this was white collar crimes, embezzlement, money laundering, and stuff like that, we would follow the money. This is not a group of uneducated, underfunded thugs hanging out on a street corner going to rob a liquor store or a corner store or holding or doing a home invasion. This is a well organized, well funded, well educated organization. Because what they've learned to do is assimilate into our society, especially come to American shores, get our education, go to our universities, and then they go back and they spread that doctrine and they teach those people how to become better terrorists. You're not dealing with people that's running around in caves anymore that doesn't have access to the internet, that doesn't have access to computers and doesn't have access to high tech technology and guns and grenades and tanks and missiles. You're dealing with a well organized army, and in some ways, the way they function and the way they move and the way they do things, it's even better than how we as a army or as a military do things because they can covertly move without having to worry about who's watching or oversight committees or people like that. And we got to get to the point where as a country, as a society, we got to stop asking for full disclosure when it comes to the military and when it comes to the government protecting us. Full disclosure is great, but do you really want to know what really has to happen for your country to keep you safe and to protect you? Do you really want to know what goes on? Because deep down inside, as long as you're able to take care of your kids and raise your kids and have a family and grow old and die peacefully, that's all you should really be worried about. Because, yes, when things go bump in the dark, things go raw in the night, someone has to be there and take care of this in a savory fashion. And that's why we need to stop having every time the army or the government do something, we want to put it on CNN. We want to say, oh, we need to know what's going on. They're not being forthright with the public. Do you really want to know? As long as you can go to Walmart, Sam's, and still go to Best Buy and buy stuff and go play and go to your little league games and all that, and your country is safe. Why do you need to know what's going on? And see, that's how they can operate, because they know that they can operate and nobody's watching and nobody's following the money. Because if you follow the money at some point, no matter how many, as they say, six degrees of separation, no matter how many degrees of separation you have, at some point you keep following that money will walk you right into where you need to be to find the people that are directly responsible for this. Because when this happens, somebody profits from it, somebody gains from it, and the loss of life is just tragic and terrible. These people are spreading doctrine to, people that are telling them, hey, look, if you go blow yourself up or you go kill yourself, we promise you something great in the afterlife, or we're going to do something to your family. How can you be promised something that you won't be around for, or you have no confirmation that your family may receive this compensation that they promised you? And at the same time, no matter who your creator are, whether it be God, whether it be Allah, whether it be Buddha, or any other people that you pray to as your spiritual creator, you cannot go tell me that once you enter his kingdom and you submit yourself humbly and gracefully at his feet, he will accept you being a person who's committed suicide and a murderer. That's the type of person you think that your creator will let into his kingdom because someone has told you that that's the case. And if it's so glorious, and if it's so spiritual cleansing, and if it's so great, how come the person who's convincing you to do this hasn't done it? You should not be able to talk to this person. This person should have long been done this. And I'm not saying that no one should suicide bomb and no one should kill nobody, but I'm just saying to the people out there that's doing it, think for a minute. Long after you gone, these people still running around, next person up, trying to convince the next person to do this. And like I said, we got to get to the point where we start doing them the way they do us. They run around with masks, proclaiming that they're ISIS. They run around with masks and they kidnap people, and then they, torture people, cut people heads off, and then they make videos of it to show you. Isn't it time to start letting them know that if you decide you want to act this way, if you decide that this is what you want to do, if you decide that you want to participate in any terroristic activities, there will be a dire consequence for this. I'm not talking about due process. I'm not talking about your day in court. I'm talking about we will hunt you down the way you did to other people, and we will end your life. We need to let them know that there are going to be consequences, because if you don't get a chance to blow yourself up, we will take care of that for you. And for all these countries that's sitting on the sideline that's thinking that, oh, it's not happening to us, it didn't happen in our borders, therefore we don't have to do anything about it. That's the same equivalence of a man watching another man, beat up a woman, domestic violence. It's not happening to you, it's none of your business, so therefore you have to do nothing about it. But conscience wise, morally wise, even that you're the man who's watching a woman get beat up, you may have not done anything about it. But when you lay down in your bed at night and you're trying to get a good night's sleep, you're gonna think about this and you're gonna replay it over and over in your mind, saying you should have did something. Unless you just consciously and soulfully and spiritually dead, you're gonna think to yourself you should have done something. Now is the time for us to all get together as a world community, not as an individual nation, not as the United States helping our friends, not as Canada helping our friends, not as England helping our friends, but we should get together as the world and get together, meet with friends and say, this stops here. It ends here. If you are declaring yourself a part of ISIS and you are saying that ISIS is what is claiming yourself to be a part of, we want to make it known throughout the world. If you are a part of ISIS, we will hunt you down like the rabid dogs that you are, and we will end you. Period. Point blank. There's no in between. There's no gray area. There's no middle ground. It is clear cut and dry. The same way it is clear cut and dry for you guys to do what you do. So in my mind, there is no in my mind there is no reason that we can't start doing them the way that they do us. We got to start saying screw rules of engagement, screw, the NATO peace treaties, screw the World Health Organization, screw the UN, screw all of that. It's time to let them know that if you continue to go down this avenue, we will not tolerate terrorism in no form. From its lowest form to its highest form, it will not be tolerated on any level. And we got to stop treating these people as if they're not organized, as if they're not educated, as if they're just gun-toting nut jobs. In order for some of this stuff to be pulled off, it is some serious brain power behind this. It is some serious think tank type stuff going on into this. Some serious planning is going on to this. These is not just people that they pulling out caves and people that they just pulling off of street homeless idiots. These are people that have got together, and 9 times out of 10, before they even pull this off, has planned it, has had exercises, has had walkthroughs, as we like to call it, and done it in plain sight. But nobody, but we too busy going on about our regular everyday life to see what's going on. And when you get into the point where you throwing grenades in a theater, you have no regard for human life to throw a grenade in a closed-in area that may or may not get you as well. So as you see, the gloves are off. And I'm talking to all the countries around the world. The gloves are off. We need to start acting accordingly. You still trying to fight with gloves when they're bare knuckle brawling. They don't care about your policies. They don't care about your NATO alliances. They don't care about any of that. All they care about is trying to, destroy as many lives in as short as time as they possibly can. And that's it. So when I say ISIS must die, I'm not saying that as if that we need to do something that enacts some type of policy that makes it where if they just cannot interact, or we need to set some type of rules and laws in place that make it where it's hard for them to maneuver. No, I don't mean it from a policy standpoint, ISIS must die. I mean it from a literally physical standpoint. Let's round up every single member that we claim that claims to be ISIS, or even that we know have had some type of interest in ISIS and have participated in an ISIS act or a rally or something. Let's round them all up and do them how they do us, make an example. And I'm not just saying let's go vigilante and let's just kill everything moving. No, I'm saying once we have confirmed and we have hard evidence that these people have been engaged in ISIS events, ISIS rallies, and we know that they are part of the organization known as ISIS, let's not spend taxpayers' money send them all down to Guantanamo Bay, putting them all in federal prison, wasting time. Let's not do that. No, let's do them how they do us. I don't care if you have to go somewhere and you have to retrofit Guantanamo Bay to be one big-ass gas chamber or one big-ass injecting site or one big-ass electric frying facility. You do what you have to do, and you take them 5, 6, 7, 8 at a time. And I don't care if you have to make it a mobile facility. As I say all the time about people over here, we need to have something called murder van. I don't care if you have to do a mobile facility as on the way to dropping off their remains. You put them all in one big-ass semi UPS truck and you fry them all. Because it's getting to the point where we're losing so many people to this. You know, people just dying for no reason, out at stadiums, out enjoying themselves, out living life. And then all of a sudden it's ended because people just get up, start shooting. People get up, decide they're going to blow themselves up. People throwing grenades. Nobody signed up to be in a war zone, and I understand that we as the world community need to see this as war. It's a war against ISIS, and like we like to say all the time where I'm from, I didn't start this. But you best believe by Almighty God, I will finish this. And that's the attitude the world needs to have. We didn't start this ISIS thing, but we need to finish it. And I'm telling you, like I said, you need to follow the money. Find the money trail. And I don't care what nation you are from, what background you have. If you have funded these people in any way, you need to be accountable. If you have sold them guns in any way, you need to be accountable. If you have trained them in any particular way, you need to be accountable. And I know they're going to say a lot of people from America has trained these people. A lot of people from around the world has trained these people because they have become smart. They have learned to assimilate and get education and learn a lot of things in a lot of different countries around the world. So it's almost like, this a comic book type thing. They're shapeshifters. How do you fight someone who's constantly adapting and changing their form? Constantly adapting to the standards and the policies that you are setting. And the way you fight them is you got to be the same way that they are. We need to have a department. I ain't talking about the CIA. I'm talking about something so totally different from all of that. You need to create something that's its own living, breathing organization that their sole mission is to track these people down and end them on the spot. And these people in this organization, they train, they grow, they adapt, they learn all the ways like these people do. Because we got to face it. America, take a real good hard look in the mirror and understand one thing. We are not the bully on the block anymore. These people do not really have a country of their own, but they're not afraid of us. They're not afraid of nothing that we could do to them because they have learned that we bark, 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 bark. And that's pretty much all we do is bark. That the bite is not as worse as the bark. So for years, you've been a bully on the block. And no more. No more. No one is afraid. You got to take that and realize that and approach it from that standpoint. That we're just like everyone else. Get in line. You're just like everyone else in the world. So it's time to take a hard look at this and say ISIS must die, period. And I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you for listening to this special episode of Random Select. Until the next time.